Takes a minute to go on, and there we are. All right. Hello, everybody. It's Al Simpson, Vampires of New Jersey fame, among other comic things and film things and things. I wanted to talk to my buddy Steve Barton about his incredible book. Let's see, A Comedy of Tragedies, which I was lucky enough to get a preview of. It's quite brilliant. Um, very, just feels familiar to me with some of my childhood, but Steve's experiences are incredible. They made him the man he is today, which, the brilliant horror entrepreneur, I can say, doing all kinds of things. Steve, how do you feel, man? Tell me what's going on.
It's been an emotional few days, man.
Yeah.
First of all, thank you for offering to do this on such short notice.
Anytime, man. I'm always ready.
But it's been a tumultuous year, uh, which I'm not going to spoil the book for those who haven't read it. But
Yeah.
there are a lot of events that transpired over the past year that have been fucking killing me, and now it's funny, like now that the book is out, right? I can't even say it's like now that it's almost out. Now
Yeah.
that this fucker is out,
Yep.
on Saturday, it's like everything caught up with me. All the stress, all
Yeah.
the lack of sleep, all the
Yep.
everything. And like my body just stopped fucking working.
Mm.
And Danny almost took me to the ER, but I just ended up falling asleep in the car. So
Yeah.
got checked out the next day, ended up with a nasal sinus infection and just exhaustion, really.
Yeah. Where's you down?
It's like it's taken a year, but now that this is there, and now it's just everything is, and I do mean everything is public record.
Mhm.
Uh, it's like I could feel the weight slipping off, and
Yeah.
I didn't know what to expect. I've been lucky enough during the working to get the book out phase
Yep.
to have gotten nothing but incredible feedback, and now that it's out and there are people actually reviewing it whom I don't know,
Yeah.
who,
Yeah.
who I know just aren't being nice to me, are giving it these just, they're saying just shockingly kind things about it.
Mhm.
And even at the last show I did, somebody when they got their paperback version and they got their ebook, which came with it.
Right.
And this dude read it the night before the show.
Yeah.
He said he couldn't put it down.
Yeah.
And he asked for a hug and he said I was his hero. How am I supposed to process that?
Well,
It's really odd, man.
you're like I said, when I started reading it, it felt familiar to me. It's almost like remember the song with Roberta Flack? Um, not killing, yeah, killing me soft, telling my life. You know, that's what it feels like when you're reading your book, and it's very hard to create that type of experience where it draws people in and makes them feel like it touches them in a lot of ways emotionally. And
I
that's what your book, I know, as much as it touches you in those ways, it's even more shocking when you read other people. I read your story and I feel what you felt, you know?
well,
That's
there's a
that's
reason for
that's
that.
magic.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I think the reason for that is because when I started writing it 4 years ago, I never intended anybody but me to read it. You know what I mean? I was doing the psychological thing, man. I was,
Right.
I have always had so many demons rattling around in here,
Yeah.
and I still do, but at least they're not as prevalent, I guess. So I decided to do the psychological thing and just write it all down and get it all out. And then my intention was either to print it and burn it or just delete it,
Mhm. Yeah.
and now it was going to be out of my system. And I spent 2 years writing that,
Right.
and in doing so I had to open up a lot of doors that I kept shut for a very long time.
Yeah.
I mean, not just it isn't even a description of what happens. It's a fucking vivisection, you know,
Yeah.
of everything that went down in my life. And then as it happens, you know, your life explodes every few years, right?
Hmm.
And you just have to adapt and move on. And I moved back from California
Right.
to the East Coast, and I'm my good friend Danielle uh, was there to help me make a start of things, and then one thing led to another, and
Right.
now we're married.
Yeah.
And one day she came over to the table right where I'm sitting now, and she sat across. She's like, "That thing you were writing, are you still doing it?" And I'm like, "Well, I haven't really touched it." And she's like, "Well, can I read it?" And I'm like, "What the fuck for? You married me, you know? You mean you know everything?"
Yeah.
And she was like, I'm just curious." And I said, "Okay." So I sent it to her, and she disappeared. And at this point, it was probably about maybe a little less than halfway done.
Right.
And every once in a while, as I continued working, I'd hear her sniffling or laughing intermittently. And I'm like, fuck, what did I do? Right. And then I hear her coming back down the stairs. And the first thing I do is I look at her hands to make sure she's not holding divorce paperwork. So, whew, God. And she sat down as dead serious as I've ever seen her. And
Right.
she looked at me and she said, "You can't burn this."
Yeah.
Well, why? And she's like, everyone, I know situations like this have happened to everybody, but I have never ever seen anyone or heard anyone talk about it the way that you do. This
Yep.
book is different. This book can actually
Yep.
help somebody feel less alone. I mean, I've been alone my whole life pretty much.
Yeah.
I've always felt alone. I had to create places to feel like I fit in somewhere, like Dread Central and stuff.
Yeah.
Um, I took what she said to heart,
Hmm.
and I remembered something, a conversation I had with George Romero. And it was after the Survival of the Dead commentary we did together,
Right.
and we were just shit faced. And we're sitting on his couch, and he looks at me and goes, "Steve, you got to promise me something, man." And I'm like, "What?" And he fucking slaps his hand on me and he goes, "If you start something, I don't care what it is, you had better fucking finish it.
Yep.
So you need to finish this." And he said, "I don't care if you're taking a piss or you're writing a movie, you finish it."
Right.
And I'm like, "Okay, I promise." And between that and hearing what Danielle had said, I decided to continue on. Now, at that point, when I decided to continue on,
Right.
I had a bit of a conundrum, right? I was
Right.
like, all right, if I was originally writing this for people to actually read,
Right.
I probably wouldn't have been so detail oriented, you know, where
Yeah.
I delve into the really darker parts that I did because I was really just trying to get them out of here.
Right.
And
Right.
so I had a choice. I'm like, well, do I go back and retool that and take some of that out? And ultimately, I decided, no, fuck it.
Yeah.
I'll sit here and bleed, you know? And the only change, I didn't take a single thing out. The only change I made in the very beginning of the book and a little bit here and there was just to kind of string these things together cohesively,
Right.
so it does read like a book. So I never took anything out, but I did have to add to it to make something that's digestible, I guess.
Yeah.
And took another 2 years and I did it and I finished it. And it's raw and it's new too. The last thing I wrote for the book was March of 2024. So it's just
Wow.
literally,
Yeah, that is fresh.
it's very current. And then the last two chapters I struggled with a lot. And I finally locked them in August.
Oh, wow.
So it's very, very fresh. The last two chapters is the only chapters that there were like several versions of. There were several different permutations,
Right.
and they went from scathing anger and hatred and venom to grace and dignity,
Yeah.
and knowing that sometimes in order to say more, you have to pull back and say less.
Yeah.
And even though I did say, I mean, a lot of people probably would have loved to have seen the vitriol, but I'm not me. That's not me. That's me when I'm fucking angry,
Right. Right.
And I think at the end, and even the publisher agreed that what I landed on says even more than when I was saying, whatever venom I was spewing. And, I held my breath, man. I was just going to do what I always did. I was going to self-publish it and move on with my life. If
Mhm.
somebody wanted to read it, great. It's there for them. If they don't, at least I did the psychological thing and got it out of my head.
I think that was the key, but the honesty is what gets you.
Yeah.
It's got that raw, you know, feeling that this came from your heart and soul, but
Oh, yeah.
then it's also relatable. And
It's.
those two things together make, those things together make it very powerful.
I don't think anyone's really ready for how raw it is and
Mm,
how vulnerable it is and
mm.
how shockingly fucking personal it is. I
Yep.
mean, it's not on to that point. After I announced that I finished the book, one of my good friends, Josh Milliken, who took over for me as editor in chief of Dread Central when I left,
Right.
Josh was one of the few people who really tried to revere my legacy there and carry on things in my voice. And I always appreciated that. Of course, that ultimately probably ended up being his death sentence working for that site.
Right.
It's all in the book. So he came to me. He's like, "Hey, can I read this?" And I'm like, "Sure, dude." And I sent it to him. And a few days later, he got back to me. He's like, "What are you doing with this?" And I'm like, "I
Yeah.
don't know. I'm just going to self-publish." He goes, "This is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
You need to put this out there. You can't just self-publish this." He goes, "Let me hook you up with my publisher, Encyclopocalypse."
Cool.
And he sent it to them with my permission, and then they called me like the next day. They're like, "Yeah, let's put it out." And like they had originally wanted
Right.
it out because I wrote it.
Right.
To me, that's fucking an amazing compliment in and of itself.
Well, I'm not shocked. As soon as you told me what you were doing, I said people are going to be all over this.
So
That's before I read it, and then after I read it, it blew my, the top what little head I had left.
thank
You
you.
know what I mean?
And
I was like, it's already cool because it's you, but then it's incredible because it's so real and raw. You know?
thank you.
Yeah,
And
it's really
so
something.
I said to him, guys, that's a really huge compliment because only I would try to talk someone out of paying me for something. That's
Yeah.
just our usual MO.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's a really huge compliment, and I really appreciate that. But you need
Yeah.
to know what this is.
Yep.
Haven't read it yet.
Yep.
I mean, this isn't just Steve or Uncle Creepy, whomever that is, telling you
Right.
stories over a campfire. I mean, that shit is there,
Right.
but it's also a lot more than just that.
Right.
So they said they would read it,
Yeah.
and it was just like, wow, what the fuck are they going to think when they read this shit, right?
Yeah. You never know, man.
Somebody who does not even know me from a hole in the wall.
Yeah.
And they got back to me like 2 weeks later and they're like, okay, now we have to put this out
Right.
because this is fantastic. This
Yeah.
is Sean Durger says this is one of the best, if not the best autobiographies I've ever read. And I'm like,
Right.
well, shit, dude, I don't know what to say. Okay.
Well, some of them you read and it's interesting because it's like, oh, I wanted to know, what happened here or what goes there. But with yours, like I said, it draws you in to your existence. But then all that relatable stuff and your slang, your way of talking, your way of presenting, it just wraps around you and it takes you places. Johnny Harr says George Morero would be super proud of you. And Al, you should do the audiobook for Stevie. We'll talk about that later. He's hooking that up. And Ron Black of Black Ave Films says you are loved, Steve, which you are. You should know that. But yeah, it's I'm not surprised at all, man.
Thank you. I'm fucking shocked.
Yeah.
Listen, you don't know what to expect when you do something like
Nope,
this.
you never do.
I know what to expect when I'm working on a movie for the
Right.
most part. But this is something that was only me. This was all me. This is the only thing I've ever done that's
Yeah,
purely for myself.
yeah, it's different.
It's just horrifying.
Yeah.
And when I think about how threadbare I laid out my life,
Mhm.
you I my only hope is if it reaches one person and it touches that one person, then all of that torment and horror and pain,
Yeah.
it's worth it,
Mhm.
because then someone else is able to see and feel that they're not alone and hopefully stay in this game that is life.
Yeah.
There are plenty of times I thought about just fucking, even in my book, I talk about suicide.
Yeah.
I was right there. It was it's compelling in how open it is.
Yes, it
And
is.
the biggest compliment that's come from it was from my good friend Mike Felsher, who does Red Shirt Pictures. He does tons of DVD and Blu-ray extras for like Shout Factory, all
Oh,
the
nice.
shit. It's Mike, and Mike is me and I. We've been friends like 20 years,
Yeah.
and he called me after he read the book, and he's like, first of all, I thought I knew a lot about you, but I didn't know shit. I can't believe that you're still here.
Yep.
And I'm like, well, I'm a fucking cockroach, man. I'm a bad loser. I don't like to lose. And he says, do you know what the most impressive thing about this book is you've been through more trauma than most people ever happen to them in their entire life.
Yeah.
There wasn't a single moment in the book that came as, oh, woe is me. You
Right.
know, oh, this is, I'm having a pity party, because
Yeah.
I'm not the pity party dude.
No.
I'm the dude who says, okay, this is happening. What do I do to fix it? Because I've been at square one so many times, Al, that
Right.
I'm very familiar with it.
Mm.
It's almost like a safe spot to me, because
Yeah.
I've
You
learned
you know what you're dealing with when you're at that place.
you got to embrace it. I know
Yeah.
it's fucking scary, but you know what? Being happy and smiling when everything's going good,
Yeah.
that's easy, man. You can do that and you have the best day ever and move on and feel great.
Yeah.
It's when your ass is kicked and when you're just flat on it and you don't know how you're going to fix this one. I've been there so many times, and each time I've learned that every time I was there, it's the choices I made and the decisions I made
Right.
that have not only added to the contents of my character, but
Mhm.
it's ultimately defined who I became and who I've yet to become.
Yeah.
I'm actually thankful for those times. So that's why I never say woe is me. Everything's a learning experience if you pay attention.
Yep.
And there are no walls, I promise anybody. There are no walls that are too hard to climb, too high to climb, too tumultuous to climb.
Yeah.
It's amazing how resilient anyone can be if they just focus and not dwell and move the fuck on. And more than anything, just keep breathing.
Yep. And moving forward. There's always a forward. There's no backward. There's only forward. And once you figure that out, you just keep going.
And
That's
plus,
the thing with your life. Within the book, you just, you're like, well, this is fucked up, but I got to get to there.
Mhm.
And most people, when you're in that fucked up part, you're just like, some people freeze and that's it. But the key is keep going.
Yeah, I'm actually at my best in really bad situations.
Yeah, I could see that.
You know,
Yeah.
I'm the guy you want next to you when the world is crumbling.
That's what I was gonna say. In a zombie apocalypse, I've got you on speed dial.
Yeah, I got this. Don't worry, we'll
Yeah.
figure this shit out.
Yeah.
Ask me, how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, you might not be as lucky because I'll fucking leave a mess, and like the little things I fuck up. The big things I got it.
Yeah. Yeah. But so the book, you're doing an audio book.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Well, there's a lot of people that always say to me, "You're doing an audiobook, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And like, "You're reading it, right?" I'm like, "No." I am absolutely not fucking reading it.
Yeah.
And there's actually a really good reason for that. Other than, I lived it, I wrote it, I did all the fucking heavy lifting, Do I have to do that too?
Yeah. Yeah.
No, the main reason is, and I decided early on, once I realized it was going to become a book, that I couldn't read it. And the reason why I'm not reading it, I do appear on it, but I'm
Right.
not reading the story because, again, I wrote this to get it out of me.
Right.
I don't want to welcome it back in and have to relive those moments again and again and again.
Yeah.
So I just, for me to not read it is for me letting it go. But I was very, very lucky in that one of my good friends, tremendous actor named Mark Redfield, who was last seen on Netflix's House of Usher, Mike Flanagan's House of Usher.
That's amazing.
He read the book and he's like, because he does audiobooks, he's like, I want to do this. I'm like, okay. He goes, no, but I don't want to read it. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, this can't just be narrated. This has to be performed. This has to be, there has to be, he goes, there are parts of this book that are so powerful that just reading them out loud is doing it a disservice. So again, my mind is like, okay, so, so he's been working hard, him and his sound designer, Jennifer Rouse, to really bring this story to life. And I can't wait to hear it. I do appear on it, though.
It's cool.
I do give my reasoning for why I'm not the one reading it. I run for the acknowledgments, and then I'm out the fucking door.
There you go.
I'll listen to it, but I ain't reading it.
You done that. Been there, done that.
Yeah. No, I'm done, dude. It's those stories, they're out there. It's funny too. I probably could have made that book like 700 pages long.
Yeah.
Because
I can see that.
There's so many other stories that I had to share, but some of them weren't mine to tell.
Right.
So I have to be respectful of that.
Right.
And then some of them are just, they're very personal, and I guess it depends. And they pretty much all have to do with my time in the horror industry and my time with celebrities.
Right.
I purposefully left some of that out and some of my crazier exploits as a kid out.
Right.
Because if I ever do a reading, I don't want to read from the book. I want to literally, I'll give people B-sides. I'll give them the hidden tracks, I'll tell them stories that aren't in the book. And that way it's personal for them,
Right.
I think that's a much cooler way to go than me having to just sit there and decide about which chapter do I read and blah, blah, blah. So I'm a very spontaneous person. So you give me a live mic, anything can happen.
Yeah.
So it's interesting in that. There's already been people asking me if I'm going to write a sequel.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I haven't, there's maybe an idea germinating. I got a title for the sequel if I do it. It's going to be called Post-Credit Sequence. And I don't know, man. It's interesting. I have no idea where all of it's going to go. But my only hope, and I mean this with every ounce of my heart, is that somebody out there who needs it finds it and it helps. And I don't
Oh,
care
yeah.
if it's that one person that bought it or it's the 10,000th person that bought it, you know?
Yeah.
As long as somehow, some way, what I can leave behind can help somebody,
Yeah.
then what more could I ask for, man, you know?
Definitely will. Johnny Har wants to know, was this the hardest thing you've ever had to do? And do you have more goals yet to tackle? Uh-oh. He just got an email that his hardcover order shipped.
Awesome.
So while he's watching you, the book's flying out the door.
And his good luck charm.
Yeah.
Honestly speaking, living it was the hardest thing I had to do. Writing it,
Mhm.
cathartic, you
Yeah.
know. Making it through. Listen, I'm not exaggerating when I say I shouldn't be here right now.
Mhm.
I shouldn't be talking to you. I didn't think I was going to make it out of my 20s.
Yeah.
I should be an alcoholic. I should be a drug addict. I should
Yeah.
be a murderer or in jail or
Yeah.
something. I should have gone down a very dark path. But the thing was, my dad was such a bastard,
Mm.
such a fucking prick.
Yep.
When I think about the way it could have gone, I could have gone down his road in 2 seconds,
Yeah.
and I would have been very justified in doing so.
Yeah.
But he only ever taught me one thing, and that's to be a sterling example of how I don't want to be.
Right.
So anything I do that is good is in spite of him.
Right. Right.
And that's the way I chose. That was the path I chose. My mom never asked me for anything other than to be somebody she could be proud of.
Yeah.
And even though I made her life miserable until the day she died when I was 17, I figure it's the least I could do for her is to just keep trying and try to fulfill her wish. And hopefully I have.
Yeah. Yeah, you definitely have.
Oh, in terms of further goals,
Yeah.
I'm digging this whole fucking writing thing, man. But
There you go.
not just books. I'm now writing screenplays with people. I'm writing
Nice.
myself. I have a project sitting with the studio right now. I have 3 other projects I'm working on. I have a project with you that I'm very excited about.
Yeah. Vampires in New Jersey. Yeah.
We just announced my
Yeah. That.
yesterday.
Yep.
Faith, the Unholy Trinity. I mean, it's just, and what a team, man. Brandon Salisbury, the Demics, fucking Chris McGibbon. I love these guys. So to work with them, I couldn't resist. And plus, me taking a crack at religious horror. Oh, you fuckers haven't seen it.
There's plenty there.
So I'm really excited about that. And you know what, man? My goals are to just a while ago. It's probably like 2 or 3 months now.
Right.
I was doing an interview, and the person who was interviewing looked over my shoulder,
Right.
and like, wow, look at all that cool stuff. What's your favorite thing to collect? And I thought about it,
Mhm.
and I realized my favorite thing to collect is memories.
Yeah.
This shit,
Yeah.
in an instant, and it doesn't
Comes and goes. Yeah.
But the interactions I have with people,
Yep.
especially like fans, I have a hard time even calling people fans because I think that's demeaning to them. To
Yeah.
me, here,
Yeah.
Just my goal is to keep making those good memories, man. Because you know what? Every good memory I make,
Yep.
ends a bad one packing,
That's right.
and that's all I'm about right now.
Yeah.
And I'm also enjoying mentoring people. Like I'm very much trying my best to mentor younger artists like
Yeah.
of To Die For and Chris Butler, who's insanely talented and does not need me at all. But when he has a question,
Yeah.
he's not sure which direction to go. You better believe I'm fucking there.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm there for anybody. I've never once ever refused to help somebody, but I've also never asked for help.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Yeah.
I don't like.
It's not in your nature.
I can give, but I'm a really poor recipient. Like this whole fucking appreciation thing of me going to conventions and signing and people like, oh, I follow.
Hey,
Dude, let me tell you something. For 30 years of my career, I never heard a fucking peep out of anybody except
yeah,
fuck something up.
yeah, you were working. You're like, that's the work.
People are like telling me how much they appreciate it, and my fucking mind is blown.
Yeah,
Like I almost don't know how to react to that because it feels like I'm living in a fantasy.
yeah,
And what a charmed life that everyone, all those horror fans, have given me.
yeah,
And I'm very thankful for it all.
yeah. For those of you who are watching, I'm not being rude. I'm actually posting out to get people to dig what Steve's laying down, as we used to say in the 70s. Um, but yeah, man, you put that out there into the world and it's coming back to you. You know what I mean? That artistry and that brilliance, it's like a wave.
I've been
Now the wave's washing back on you, and you've earned it.
I've been sitting at that Karma bus station decades.
Yeah,
And you know what? I'll sit here for many more. I don't care because at the bottom line is I love what I do. I love my life.
yeah,
And they're different. Everyone measures success differently. Money is
yeah,
or so I've heard.
yeah, yeah.
But I don't look at that as the measuring point of success.
Right.
For me, success is being able to go to bed at night and knowing that I did everything I could that day to the best of my ability.
Right.
And if I could say I did that, then I'm successful as fuck.
Yeah, that's everything. Yep.
And money, if it comes, it comes. If it doesn't, I don't give a shit. I've lived my whole life without it.
Yeah.
I've been in literal survival mode for 52 years.
Right.
I don't even know how not to be in survival mode. As crazy as that sounds.
Yeah. It's your natural state.
Yeah. So it's interesting that people are getting a look behind the curtain.
Yeah.
What life is really like in this industry sometimes.
Yeah.
And my story isn't unique. There are plenty of people out there who've been through worse or even not so. Dude, that's the whole thing. It isn't, suffering isn't a contest.
Yeah.
It's not a fucking measuring stick. It could be, it doesn't matter if you've been through the shit that I've been through or you stubbed your fucking toe really hard. Okay. Right. If you stubbed your toe and it's giving you distress and it's making you feel bad, then whatever you had happen to you is just as important as anyone else's fucking problems. Right. Everyone deals with things differently. Everyone handles stress differently.
Yes, they do.
And there's no right and wrong way to really handle it. It's the way you handle it. Right. So, I that was a big thing with me with the book. I was like, I don't want people to think that or feel that I'm putting myself above them by talking about these things. Right. Like, I'm not one of those people that are showing off with look at my trauma. Do you see? Look how fine my trauma is. I'm not that person.
Yeah.
I've never been that.
Oh, you're not.
And I hope that as people get to know me more, I mean, it's kind of unnerving that starting right now at this moment, the entire world can know every single thing about me.
Yeah.
But again, I've never done anything in my life for ego. I've never done it for money.
Right.
I've done it for passion and because I love it. And also I'm kind of selfish. I just want to see cool shit, man.
Yeah.
So I want to help people make cool shit so I could see cool shit, Yeah. And that's what I'm about, man. And I hope that resonates with people. I hope the book does what I hope it could do. I don't know how good my story is.
Oh, it's deep reaching. Trust me.
Thank you. I mean, it's
gonna change the way you look at yourself, but also the way people handle things. Because when you were going through it, you didn't have a book like that to read. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But if you did, what would that have done for you? And you're going to do that for somebody else, and that's a beautiful thing.
I hope so, because at the end of the day, honestly, that's really the only thing that it's important to me. And there is some, if people like the book and they appreciate it or whatever, there is something that they can do.
Hmm.
There's a site called Goodreads,
Right.
that's basically IMDb for books.
Nice.
So if you like the book, please go leave a review. Even if you didn't like the book, go leave a review. Fine, just as long. I'd rather I'd rather bad reaction than no reaction.
Yeah.
If you didn't like it, it'll make a great kickstand. You could pick up in a store stop or a
This
coaster.
your
But
tea.
Encyclopocalypse is a great publisher, and I love
Oh
them.
yeah.
They've bent over backwards for me.
Yeah.
They're at the end of the day, they're still a smaller tier publisher.
Yeah.
So I'm the only sounding board I have beyond them, and beyond me, it's just the fans. There's not going to be a multi-million-dollar ad campaign
Yeah.
behind this, and there probably shouldn't, because it's a niche market to begin with, autobiographies.
Well, maybe, but I mean, just what happened with the latest Terrifier and how they became #1 without one national marketing campaign tells me the power of independent horror people and how connected we all are.
Well,
You
if
know what I mean?
someone can
So
use,
you're part of that community. So, it's bigger than anybody even imagines.
I appreciate that. I've used my voice to help. I've launched so many careers, Al. I ain't even joking.
I believe you, man.
I've used my voice always positively for everyone else.
Yeah, you are, man. You're the one guy I know. If I'm going through something and I talk to you, you're upbeat.
Yeah.
And
If
let me tell you,
everyone could,
the way things are today, most people are not.
I
But
know.
you've been through the shit, and you're just like, hey, it is what it is. You got to deal with things the way they are in order to get past them and make things better. That's the only way.
Using your voice, I've found, is your most important tool to be who you are and be authentic. And I would consider it an honor if people could go and leave the reviews on Amazon and leave the reviews on Goodreads, because that's all I have beyond my mouth and a few other close people and the people who are directly involved with this project. So that's how somebody could help me. That to me is worth more than, I don't give a fuck if you bought the book, someone just lent it to you, you read it, you liked it, go review it.
Yeah.
I don't need the money, I need your voice.
Yep.
And if more people who talk about it and the more people who hashtag A Comedy of Tragedies, the better visibility it's going to get. And the better visibility it gets, guess what? You're not just helping me, you're probably helping somebody else.
Oh, for sure.
Definitely. And I think that's a worthwhile thing to do. Like, I reviewed the book on Goodreads, but I'm like, hey, this ain't a review. But I gave it 5 stars because my life has sucked anyway, and I'll take them.
Yeah,
I wrote, listen, I'm only to thank everybody here who has taken the time to leave reviews. It meant a lot, and I've answered, I've commented on every review I've seen. So it's important to keep that line of communication open with the people who are helping you. I want somebody to know, if they leave a comment on the book, good, bad, or indifferent, I'm going to appreciate it, because if it's a great comment, that's awesome. If it's a constructive criticism, that's even better. If it's a bad comment, hey, maybe I'll get you next time. I won't take anything personally, but I ain't gonna lie, man. I've read some stuff on there that it's made me a little teary, because I'm like, fuck, they're talking about my life. This is so weird,
Yeah, but it's that connection's good. I mean, that's the humanity that is missing from almost everything right now. You know what I mean? And people need that. We need to get back to that. I think if we can get back to that, on the base human level, being able to understand each other, it'll make everything better.
Being able to communicate.
Yeah.
and not just preach, but listen.
Right.
Why would you want everyone to have the same exact opinion as you do?
Yeah.
Shit would be boring.
Yes,
At the end of the day, it doesn't matter what you are. You could be a Republican, you could be a Democrat, you could be
Right.
white, Chinese,
Yep.
in Puerto Rican, Spanish, alien from fucking Mars, and you could be fucking plaid colored skin. It doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah.
What matters is you're not an asshole.
That's the key. Don't be an asshole.
Something that doesn't require even much work. Just don't be an asshole.
Yeah.
Treat people like you expect to be treated.
Yeah.
You know, and that's life, man.
Yep.
And I learned that from watching George A. Romero movies. Cheers.
There you go. One to George. So tell people where to get your book.
I have this tiny sweatshop. No, it's everywhere, man. It's encyclopocalypse.com. It's on Amazon, Barnes and Noble. It's fucking anywhere you can buy a book. I've heard today that, like, if you go into like a Barnes and Noble and it's not there, they'll special order it for you. I don't know what the deal is. You know, I don't understand how distribution works and how stuff like that works on this side. Movies, I got this shit. No idea.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's everywhere, man. And if they're interested and somebody reads it, I'm not hard to find.
Right.
First of all, preemptive, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Preemptive, I'm so sorry. And get in touch with me, man. Send me a message.
Well, you're doing your first book signing.
Oh my God, what a ridiculous life I live.
It's fun. I did one at the same place, and well, I'm not even going to talk about it. It's magical.
Yeah, it's this Friday the 13th, how apropos, at Jay and Silent Bob's Secret Stash at Red Bank, and I'll be in from 11 a.m. to 6. I'm going to stay the whole damn day.
Yeah.
One person or 10,000 people, I am there for whomever comes.
Yeah.
And I there's a Facebook group invite thing, and I see so many people saying they're coming. I hope they do.
Yeah.
And either way, it'll be fun. If I run out of books to sell, I have a ton of other stuff that'll make great Christmas gift. I actually, for the people who ordered the book and didn't get the book yet, actually, John just said his shipped. So
yeah.
I have extra book plates that I'll sign for them for when their book does come.
Oh, nice.
And I actually have special made for this particular signing 8x10s of A Comedy of Tragedies designed by Chris Butler Designs. So
awesome.
And I'll have my usual stuff too, the movie posters. And
if
you have stuff you want signed, like you have Hatchet Blu-rays or Hatchet 2 or Never Sleep Again, or of course the Terrifier stuff, bring it on in. I'll be happy to sign it for you. The only fuck of it is, let me be perfectly honest with you.
Yes.
There's going to be a lot of people who come to this signing that are mentioned in the book, and that's cool. However, I'm an indie artist.
That's right.
I don't have stuff to just give away.
That's right.
Unfortunately, as much as I don't want to, I have to charge.
That's right.
I even had to pay because I get a little off, but I had to pay for the books that I ordered to be at the signing.
Yep.
So it's whatever I make goes into my pocket.
Yep.
And helps me feed my pets. And
there you go.
Keeps my stepdaughter in college and keeps me happy living under a roof. Right? I like roofs where it could be warm. It's cold. I don't want to live out there. I like things. So, I don't like charging. I have to at this point.
Well, you gotta, it's a business, man. You gotta run it that way. Yeah. But people get more than their money's worth out of anything that that they get from you.
Hi, man. One of the things Jordan Sid taught me that I really live by is and for those who don't know, George Romero and Sid Haig were my mentors, and they had both taught me that when you're at a convention and somebody's happy to see you,
Mhm.
give them a good time.
Yeah, that's why they're there.
Give them a good time because they don't know, and you don't know if you're ever going to see that person again. So why make it a negative experience? So
Yeah.
anyone that comes to see me or comes to or sees me at a show that wants to talk, I treat everybody like they're the only person in the room,
Yep.
you know? And
Yep.
I will stay until everybody leaves satisfied with something.
Yeah. That's brilliant, man. Boogeyman Studios and Twisted Creations says Steve is a great man, a wonderful person. They can't wait for their copy.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anthony Marinaro. I love that man.
Yeah.
He's bald too.
There you go. Smooth up in there. That's where we are.
Yeah, thank God for Stone Cold Steve Austin. He made it all okay.
Yeah.
Before him, we were like freaks now, but it's
Yeah.
okay. So
Yeah. Yeah, I think I saw a movie, a 60s movie the other day, and there was a bald guy, and he looked like he was from Mars. And now it's kind of like, that's a style, at least. You know what I mean?
I
Whether you like it or not,
it's definitely a curse.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well, yes.
no one does this on purpose.
Not at all. No.
But when I started losing my hair when I was like 22,
Wow.
and there was and I had long ass hair, dude. I had
Yeah.
almost down to the back of my ass.
Yeah.
And well, I don't have an ass; I have leg tops. But it was so long, and I'm looking at this bald patch, and I'm like, I can't rock the George Jefferson. It just won't look good,
Yeah.
And I ain't gonna do one of those weird emo fucking over things when you're parked over here.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like, dude, you don't see that shit. You don't look natural.
Not at all. No.
So I just said, fuck it. And the first thing one of my neighbors said to me when he saw me with a shaved head, he goes, "Did you just get out of jail?" I'm like, great.
Yeah, Anthony Marinara says, my granddaughter named me Grandpa Bald Guy. That's sweet.
We're like Onyx, but in different states.
There you go. But yeah, man, you're coming up with some amazing stuff. I know you got stuff you're working on. I'm working on a Indiegogo for the first Vampires in New Jersey short that we're going to work on together.
So happy to be a part of that.
I'm very excited. Nick Petros and Danny Donnelly and Amy Teresa, who actually have a hit film on Tubi right now called Last Known Location. If anybody wants to stream it, it's on there. It's brilliant. They're going to be working with us along with Fallon. So it's got all whenever I do a project, I try and get the right mixture of things to be combustible. And I think, we're going to come up with something unique and special. Vampires have been blowing up for a while with the graphic novels. And then
congratulations.
I was lucky enough. Yeah, I'm like you. I kind of like, I do something, I take it somewhere, and then people I get that feedback and I go, oh, okay, so this is a thing. And then I see where it goes. And then I keep listening to people, what they say they want. And you were nice enough to contact me about the first convention, where I got to meet you. And that was like a blowout.
Mm-hmm.
The film panel was ridiculous. You were amazing. Everybody, I mean, it was like, I was thinking after it happened, I used to hear about happenings in the 60s. It's a happening, people getting together and you feel that feeling. And the vendors made money. The people who came had a great time and the guests had a great time. And it was just like that thing. So every event I do, I want that thing, And part of that thing was you. So thank you.
No, thank you, man. I mean, I know the filmmaking panel was like the last one. Everybody has been there for a few hours.
Yeah.
And I know that it's my job to wake everyone the fuck back up. And I did.
Yeah.
It's kind of my thing.
Yeah, it was wild. It was great, man.
And,
but yeah, 2025 looks like a really fun year. Everything, every dreams will come true, and we just keep building. But yeah, your book, man, that's the way to start. You know what I'm saying? It's going to have a lot of legs. You're going to be shocked and surprised and bewildered where this thing goes. It's going to go everywhere.
Your lips to whatever God is up there's ears.
Well, to me, the end all of everything. Now, today with the internet, as you know, you and I were pre-internet everything, you know, marketing seems to be everything. If you can market the crap out of it, then you make money. But to me, what really gets the people is quality of the content. And your content is beyond average, normal, whatever you want to call it. It's extraordinary.
Thank you.
And once that gets out, and there will be word of mouth, but there will be marketing also. When you get those two together, then you got a classic.
I hope so, man. Again, I'm
telling you, Steve, in 5 years, we'll be turning on Netflix. Seriously.
Who do you want?
If they made Hillbilly Elegy, they'll definitely want to make this. You know what I'm saying?
I guess so.
You know, it's got that thing. So congratulations, man. And you know, it's courageous what you're doing, getting yourself out there like that, vulnerable and everything. But yes, it will help a lot of people. And it will be inspiring.
That's all I want, man. Yeah. Sincerely, that's all I want.
And you know, thank you from the bottom of my heart. We appreciate it. We need that realness. You always bring the realness, and I love that.
Life's too short, bro.
Yeah.
You know, I tell you, people, they could like me, they could dislike me. That's cool. The one thing they'll always do is respect me because they'll know where I stand. If I don't like something, I'm going to say it to them.
Yeah. I think that's the key. That's the key to life. You know, sooner or later, everybody has that, I got to be real moment. Sometimes you get pushed into it. Sometimes you get dragged into it, but it's coming sooner or later. And the people that can move through are the people that say, look, I'm okay with the truth. I'm okay with reality. Because once I know what I'm dealing with, I can deal.
Oh, dude, when someone opens their mouth and they show you immediately what type of asshole they are, what a gift. Yeah. What a gift. Thank you. Because now I know exactly how much attention I need to pay to you. Yeah. You know? So thank you for being an asshole and moving along, because I'm going to move the fuck along.
Yep.
You know, this is all I could promise somebody. I may not always tell people what they like to hear, but I'll always tell them what I think they need to hear. You know?
And people don't get that enough, you know? But that's a gift, Steve. And the world, I appreciate it, and the world will appreciate it. So,
and I appreciate it.
We love you, man.
Love you too, brother.
You do good. You make the world a better place, you and the missus, you know? But I'm going to let you go. Anytime you want to talk about any projects, just let me know.
Let's do it.
And I'll throw this stuff up and we'll go at it. As your projects come to pass and you want to get the word out, you know, let me know. This will be on YouTube, so you'll be able to, you know, post it out to everybody. And let's see, Johnny Harris says congrats to everybody in the community. Anthony says we should do a podcast called Three Bald Guys in a Book, which I'm in. But yeah, man, it's 2025 is going to blow up, man. It's your year. So just pace yourself, take your time, and enjoy, you know, the fruits of your labor. Because you, as you said, you put the time in, and you know, like I said, that wave is coming back.
You ever just feel like no matter how much time you put in, it's not enough?
No, I feel that every day, man. People are like, well, you did this, well, you did that, well, you did. I'm like, I haven't done enough. I haven't gotten to where, I don't know, you know, you're right. It's your personality. You never feel like you'll get to that place where, you know, oh yeah, that's it. You know?
Yeah.
No, I never feel like that.
Yeah.
There's always something I'm interested in, always something I want to focus on, always something exciting. You know, but you got to chase it. You got to find it, and you got to love it. You know, and you got that.
You know, and I think more than that, you can't let anyone tell you no. You know, because the only limitations that you have to adhere to are the ones you put on yourself.
Right.
People who are dreamers, who are creatives, we get told no all the time. We've all heard it. You know,
oh, yeah.
But there are more people who welcome complacency and safety, which is great and it works. But sometimes people, especially when dealing with creatives, they're angry because they've already accepted that who they are right now is probably going to be who they are 30 years from now.
Yeah.
Whereas who I am right now, I don't want to be 30 years from now. I want to be something different,
You're evolving, man.
you know?
Yep,
So
you're evolving.
never let anyone tell you no, because I could promise everyone watching this, if this idiot from Brooklyn with a GED level education can write a goddamn book, produce one of the biggest movies that have changed the fucking spectrum of the way horror films are perceived,
Yeah.
and created pretty much from scratch, along with a few other talented people, internet journalism as it is,
Yeah.
you know? And I taught myself fucking everything I've ever learned to do.
Yeah.
So if I can do it,
Yep.
you have no excuse.
That's right. Get to it. Get to work.
Respect your passion, man, and fucking chase it.
Yep. All right, man. I'm going to let you go.
All right, bro.
Tell the missus I said, yo, you take care of yourself. Anything you need from me, just ask, brother.
Appreciate you.
All right.
Take care.
All right. See you, everybody. Buy that book, damn it. Take care.
Bye.
Oh, my buddy.
I'm acting like I'm frozen.
I know.